Okay, hi, I'm Bob Piorun, and this is my show, Musically Speaking. Today I have a wonderful guest, someone I've known for 35 years or so. I think I met you when you were 10, though, Nancy. So
that's right. That's right.
You were about 10 years old when I met you.
I'm still 10.
Yeah, well, in a lot of ways,
yeah,
I think you really are. So, well, anyways, Nancy and I probably could sit here and talk about many of our common experiences and work together, but today our focus is her brand new CD, and she's going to tell us about it and what inspired it, who inspired it, let's say, and some of the people on it. So, Nancy, tell us about your CD.
This was truly a work of love for me. When I first started singing jazz, my first introduction to jazz singers was Mark Murphy.
A lot of people don't know about him, that he was local in the New York area. He was from Fulton.
Mark was born in Syracuse and raised in Fulton.
Really?
And he, of course, did a lot of music with they were a very musical family. He did music all his life, and eventually left and went to New York and London. But I met him because he and his family have a summer home in Fairhaven, where I live.
Right.
And we would always hang out and just talk jazz. And
how did you happen to meet him? You heard about him first. You heard a CD of him, and then you realized he was in your area? That must have been quite a...
Well, it actually didn't go quite in that order. We ended up going to Buffalo to see him perform at a crazy club called Papagayos. And I can remember, I was so young in my jazz singing career that I remember listening to him and looking at him, and I just really didn't get it, because I didn't have the tools myself to understand.
Yeah,
which is basically a problem by most people that don't like jazz.
You were still actually in a lot of people don't know you were in rock groups at that area, so you were playing rock pop things.
No, maybe not then. I was starting to do standards, but the limit of my knowledge was so
you weren't ready to receive somebody as good as him.
You sort of got to live it to understand that. So anyway, I just kept up with him and kept up with his career, and then discovered that he did have a place in Fairhaven, and somehow we met. And along the lines, he would come to my gigs, I'd go to his gigs. We became friends. We knew each other right up till the time that he passed away.
Yeah. How old guy was he? How old when he died? Was he? He didn't look to be that
83,
sick. Oh, he was
maybe.
old. He was
83.
So he was a little older than us.
Don't quote me.
Okay.
But right around there.
Yeah. So he was older than we are, or I am. Let's say you're a lot younger than I am. So
let's hope we get there.
Yeah, that's right. To be playing that long. So, anyways, he was an inspiration for this album. So what did you do? You took tunes that he did, or what?
Well, it's kind of a cool. Well, let me tell you how I got to the album thing. What happened was my agent and I were talking about, because Mark had passed away, and I sang at his memorial in New York with a host of other great singers, Kurt Elling, Sheila Jordan, a whole bunch of great people, and we said, well, we should try and put together a Mark Murphy show. That would be a good thing to book. It might be, a little easier to book that. And then one day I went, why don't I just plan on putting a CD together? And then I started the process of picking the material. And the way that came about, to answer your question, was the songs that I chose were the ones that influenced me when I was learning about jazz. When I'd listen to Mark, these were the pieces that kind of formed my my jazz.
Were they songs he did, or you mean?
Oh yeah.
Okay, yeah.
They were songs he did. Body and Soul, Glad There Is You. I would just sit. You know how it is when we're learning. We put it on and we play it again and play it again and play it again. Stolen Moments. Right. And This Could Be the Start of Something Big, written by Steve Allen. We were just talking about that.
Yeah. So anyways, so you get this idea in your mind, then you got to go through the process. Well, how am I going to do this?
Yeah.
What musicians are going to choose?
Right.
The real hard work.
Well, things have changed since we painfully know, all of us that have had record labels. Record labels, the whole thing is kind of morphed into something else.
Yes.
Since the digital age
Totally
came out,
different, yes,
it's a
totally.
completely different ball game. The labels I think there's only 5 jazz labels left, major labels that are doing things, and they're very, very picky about what they do.
Right.
It has to have some kind of a
Commercial aspect.
that's a really good way to put it.
Right.
So I decided I would raise the money myself. And I did one of those Kickstarter campaigns, and I drove everybody nuts, keeping it on Facebook and asking for help. And I raised a lot of money.
Yeah.
I didn't raise it all, but I raised a lot of money.
Right.
And it was enough for me to plan the studio time. So I had done a record, to answer your question about the guys and who you would put on it. I kind of had an idea at that point what music I was going to do.
Right.
But when I make records, I hear them first. I know what they're going to sound like, so I know who I'm going to go after to play on them.
To get that sound, yes.
Yep.
Right.
So I had produced a record for a singer from Buffalo named Barbara Levy, and I had John DiMartino produce the arrangements and all that stuff in the studio and help me with that. And when I heard John play the playbacks, and I went, I have to record with this guy because he's from my planet.
Right. You're a piano player.
Yeah.
Piano player, yeah.
So that's how it came to be. I called John. I said, "Hey, how'd you like to put this project together with me?" And then from there, we, I had Carmen Intori on my previous record. Fell in love with him, not as a player, not just as a player, but as a person as well. That's another thing. It's so important in this business.
Right.
If you wouldn't want to hang out with these people, you don't want to make
Right.
music
There's
with
a
them.
lot of good players you can hire, but
Good point. But they've got to be people you like as well.
Right.
So that makes a big difference in how it all comes off. And then I realized I wanted to do a kind of an R&B feel for some of the tunes. It's just what I heard when I picked the tunes, and I heard Mark doing Again. This was done just as a ballad.
Yeah. It was from 1948. I don't know why those things stick in my mind.
Did Doris Day do it? Is that
possibly? She just died, by the way. Not to change
I
the
heard
subject.
I heard that this morning. I'm not a historian, so
Right.
I don't claim to know all this stuff. But I heard, because it's got that
right.
it's
So,
got that.
yeah,
it's
got this,
that. Again.
Right. So it's got that kind of groove, 12/8.
Well, it just
12/8 groove,
wants to go right there.
Right,
And I
right,
said to
yeah.
John, I said, "Boy, the jazz police are really going to come
Yeah,
after us
right.
for this."
Doing an R&B
Yeah, I
thing.
said, I'm it. We're going to hell on this one. That's all there is to it. In the studio, we all laughed and we just did it.
What was his take on that? What did he say?
He agreed that it was a great way to go with it, know. But those are all, everything you hear on the record, they're all my ideas. That's the way I wanted the tunes. So I had to have, in other words, I had to have people that could play these different styles.
That you had in your mind.
Yeah, authentically. So I ended up getting Paul Bollenbeck. I'm sure you're aware of Paul Bollenbeck, because he can play some gritty blues stuff. You can get guys that can play across all the styles,
Right.
but it's not authentic sometimes, every time.
Right.
So anyway, I got Bobby Militello to play, because Bobby can play bebop like a
he's
crazy
a monster.
man.
Tell people, he was with Brubeck.
He
As a matter of fact, Dave Brubeck chose him after Paul Desmond.
Yeah, he replaced Paul
just,
Desmond.
Just to give people an idea of who he is. He's just a phenomenal player.
He replaced Paul Desmond. And so he was with Brubeck for 30 years. And what a career. He toured the world with Brubeck. And he's just recently come back home. So
where's he located? Is he in
He's
New
in
York?
Buffalo.
Oh, in Buffalo.
He's always
really?
lived in Buffalo.
Is that where he's from?
Yep.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yep.
Because we have another, what's the other great sax player from Buffalo? Stanley Turrentine? Is one of those guys is also from Buffalo. I can't think of him. Anyways. So you got him, and then you got your drummer, you got your piano player, bass player.
Bass player, we ended up with, we had to have somebody that could play upright and electric. And we got Ed Howard, and Ed did a beautiful job. His claim to fame is he played with Roy Haynes for a long time. He
Oh, did he?
toured
Wow.
with Shirley Horn. And so, you know, these guys are all A-list players.
Right. Did they know each other? Did they, or these people you hired independently and they met, or?
No, that's kind of fun. I mean, a lot of the guys, as you know, the jazz community is
Small.
So small. We sort of all know each other.
Right.
I mean, John had worked with Ed before. He had not worked with Bobby before. He hadn't worked with Ballenbeck before. Mm-hmm. He'd worked with Paul Myers, who did the nylon string stuff. Mm-hmm. That's where I met Paul.
Okay.
Yeah. So you know, they go in the studio, they get the charts, they put this stuff. Everything you hear on there was maybe one take.
Really?
Maybe
wow,
two.
That's cool.
Maybe
and you
two.
Did this
we did
locally.
two just for press.
You did this locally. Yeah.
Locally.
Didn't you?
No. I did this in. There's a studio that people like. You know, John, the piano players want to go where they're in love with the piano.
Oh, they
want
like the piano.
pianos. They got to be in love with the
Yeah.
piano.
Yeah.
But a studio that's been very popular lately is called Trading Eights, and it's in Paramus. And boy, this kid, he's a kid to me. Of course, everybody's a kid to me, you know. But I mean, the kid that does the engineering just blew my. I mean,
now where's that?
Blew my mind.
New Jersey.
Number one, it's in New Jersey.
New Jersey.
The engineer has a degree in music.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, in my mind, you can't record this music unless you know what
music.
bar you're in,
Yeah.
you know, that sort of thing.
No,
so,
I agree.
So we did that, and I didn't really know the tunes. I'm a singer who I really do better after I create muscle memory for something. In other words, I played the song quite a bit. I performed it live. I just get this whole thing going with it.
Yeah.
Some singers can just go in, they can read the music, they just sing it. That's not me. So I didn't know the music that well because it was all mostly new material. So, but I did scratch vocals for them, and I came back here, and since I work at Subcat Studios, I did the vocals there.
Oh, I see. Okay, that's how that came.
That's how that worked. Yeah.
And they did the mixing later, or you went back?
We mixed it later. Ron Keck and I mixed it.
Okay, I see. Yeah. So that's
We
quite
took
an art
a long
in itself
time.
Yeah.
We knew we had a really special recording on our hands, so we decided to just really do it right. You know, and because of technology, you can do everything right now.
Right.
You know, I tell people, you know, I've got 2 live CDs. If you want to know if I sing in tune enough, go listen to those.
Yeah.
But, you know, this was a digital recording.
Yeah, so you can make it.
We took advantage of everything.
Yeah.
But I left out a really really important part of the recording was on Body and Soul, Red Clay, and Empty Faces, Veracruz. Randy Brecker played on the original recordings with Mark.
Oh wow, that's
on those 3. And since I had met Randy recently, we were on the same festival together, and I just called him. I said, Randy, would you
do this?
Would you do
that's
this?
Pretty cool. For people who don't know, I mean, he's a world-class player. Him and his brother they played with Paul Simon beside having their own group. What was it? His brother? His brother died. It escapes me.
Michael.
Yeah, Michael.
Yeah.
Oh my God, what a great player! He's played with everybody. But so
it's cool. So the recording, he agreed to it, which put me through the roof. I was so excited. I mean, he agreed to it, but he was going to be in China on the recording date. So he recorded it later. Like he recorded everything you hear Randy doing. He did.
After you did it.
It's really
well, that's
cool.
the way they're recording.
But isn't that wonderful? We can do that. It's like really
cool.
How
about Sinatra did a CD where he recorded with some people, one of his last ones in Europe, Sting and people. They were sending the tracks back and forth. So I did that locally myself. Son, you can do anything.
It's so easy to do.
You can do anything. So what do you think about the idea of even putting out a CD today? I mean, how about that? It seems to be going by the wayside.
Well, this is a really good conversation because there's many people. In fact, it's one we had extensive talks on. Do people want CDs anymore? The answer to that is jazz people do. Jazz people still
want something they can
do.
Touch.
They want to read the.
They probably want a record.
I'm going to do some vinyl on this.
That's big.
Yeah. That's big. So they like to read it. They like to hold it. But you know this. We sell CDs off the bandstand all the time.
People still buy them.
And they like to buy them. you know. So we decided to go with that.
Yeah.
I mean,
I wonder what the future is. So, like I said, Tuck and Patty were just here, and they're actually selling all their music on a little USB
yeah,
thing, and everything. They got all their live shows, and everything's on there, and they charge one lump sum. I don't know what's going to happen in the future. What is it going to be? I don't think there's going to be one kind of media. People are downloading things and so on. You know, I don't know.
it's very hard. It's funny because I refuse to put this up on Spotify. I don't want people streaming it. I'm going to wait a year before they can stream it.
Well, Nancy, you can make 1/100th of a cent every time somebody
I
streams
actually
it.
get little checks from
I know,
them.
I do too.
I mean,
Yeah, I do too.
like
yeah.
$5.
Yeah.
I'm
I got
like,
a person in Singapore heard, one of my, and you get like a 1/10 of a cent. But that's the new age. It's so different, and everybody, we still say, I say record. Yeah, I still say the word record.
Yeah, I find
Gotta do a
myself
record.
calling it a recording now.
Recording. Yeah,
That's what I do because CD sounds funny and yeah.
That's right. Yeah, so,
I know.
But
well, I don't know where that's all going to go. I don't know.
I don't know. It's going to be something. I think people are going to have phones implanted into their bodies, and they're just going to download their favorite music and be able to call it up. And I don't know. Who knows?
One thing I know for certain is that the millennials and the people coming up, at some point in their lives, they're going to have to find out what music really sounds like because they don't know.
Right.
Yeah. And there's so few people out there recording outside of the jazz world that are actual musicians.
Yeah.
Like they're just getting inundated with it's just rhythm. It's sort of a backward
it is.
Trend
in a lot of ways
to me.
going backward. Now, let's talk about some of the venues, because jazz is essentially, it's about smoky, dark nightclubs, and you are going to Birdland. I don't know if it's probably not smoky or dark.
No, there's no smoking in the United States
I
anywhere
know,
anymore,
but
which
saying,
I'm glad.
Can't they put some fake smoke up just to relive the days of Charlie Parker?
Yeah, but they're still small.
Yeah.
Jazz clubs are still small. I'll be in the Birdland Theater. I may as well say it. July 4th, 5th, and 6th. 7 o'clock show and 9:45 show.
Now, is that in the same location? Where
It's downstairs. It's a whole new.
Okay.
It's downstairs from the main.
Now, one cool thing about that, you must know that you got jazz fans coming down there. You're going to have people coming down and asking.
Yes and no. Yes.
Really?
Yeah. Yes and no. Birdland and Blue Note are tourist attractions, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with it. So you get a mixture. But if you're a tourist that's going to go to Birdland, you're a jazz fan.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
I think you would be. Yeah, because why would they even know about it?
Yeah. Why would they go other than? Well,
do you feel like when you're there? We feel things sometimes that are not extraterrestrial. But how do you feel the vibe of all the music that was there? Although I heard Charlie Parker couldn't play there, they kicked him out or something. Did you know that?
There's been 3 Birdlands.
Really? So,
yes, there was the one that was way uptown that I didn't.
Right,
ever
that
go
was the
to.
original one.
Then there was one that I played at that was, forgive me, I don't know, it was a little further down.
Yeah.
And of course now he's near Times Square.
Right.
He's on 44th between 8th and 9th. Right. And he just built this new theater, which I've heard, John DiMartino told me everyone's loving it. The musicians are loving the sound.
So it's actually a theater.
But these are 80 seats. These are 80.
Okay.
Well,
Yeah. You mean it's an actual theater? The seats are in line?
No, that's just what they named it, I guess. I don't know.
I see.
Yeah.
It's still casual with cocktail tables.
Yeah.
And you drink and you get drinks and
I hope
$20 beers, $20 beers and so on.
Yeah.
well, even though it's not the original place, being in New York and playing in what's called Birdland, do you think you feel some of the vibes of what?
Always. Well, I've played I've been lucky enough to play Birdland 20 times, maybe more.
Okay,
I've been kind of in that loop for a while.
Right,
It's kind of nice. You
feel any inspiration when you're there to think?
Oh yeah. Well, you should see the walls are covered with pictures.
Yeah, the pictures of people.
The dressing rooms are really what make you feel it.
Why, they're dirty?
No, they're beautiful.
Or are they really?
They're beautiful.
You really think they were back then when
But you can
Coltrane
feel
and Bird
all the people that were warming up back there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I would just think of the really funky looking and dirt on the walls and everything.
No, Birdlands. These clubs are beautiful.
Oh, are they?
Yeah.
Really? Yeah. Wow, that's something. How about if we did a song? Could we do this could be the start of something
Sure.
big. Okay.
You're walking along the street, you're at a party, or else you're alone, and then suddenly dig, you're looking in someone's eyes, you suddenly realize this could be the start of something big. You're lunching at 21, watching your diet, accepting a Charlotte Russe, declining a fig. When out of the clear blue sky, it's suddenly gathering guide. This could be the start of something big. There's no controlling the unrolling of the fate, my friend. Who knows what's written in that magic book? But when a lover you discover at the gate, my friend, just let him in without a second look. You're up in an aeroplane, dining at Sardi's, or lying on Malibu, alone in the sand. You suddenly hear a bell, right away you can tell. This could be the start of something. This could be the start of something. This could be the start of something grand.
We have some different players on that tune, some local guys.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we didn't record it in New York.
Okay. You did this at Subcat?
We didn't record it in New York, and I wanted to do it. It was kind of an after the fact. I wanted to do it.
Right.
And so we did it at Subcat, and I got an old friend of mine, Peter Mack, to come and play bass.
Well, he's younger than me, so he can't.
Well, but I mean old by
old guy, yeah.
old by years and years and years. We've been
for
friends.
many years.
Yeah, he came and played bass on it, and Steve Brown played guitar on it, and Kunga. So it's real open and real loose.
Yeah, it's funny. The first time I ever heard Steve Brown, for people who know, he taught the jazz course at Ithaca College for like 40 years or something. And I was actually a friend of one of his contemporaries, Nate Levine. Nate took me over there.
Fat cat.
He took me over there and he says, "Bob, you gotta hear this guy play guitar." So I go to a gig and Steve's playing drums. He
plays everything.
Yeah, he was playing
plays drums
yeah.
and bass.
But anyways, just so people know, he was a long time. He put out many great students. As a matter of fact, who just said when they went? Oh, I was just talking to somebody who taught there. Her name is Michelle Cole. She taught dance at Ithaca. She said when they put on a tribute to Steve Brown, all these people came from all over, and they were just amazing. And they talked about him, and I remember his brother Ray Brown too, who was not Ray Brown, the bass player.
He's a big band, doesn't he? Yeah,
a trumpet player.
Yeah.
Yes. So, anyways, I digress. But you had two people from this area, Peter Mackwitz and now. So your long-term pianist Dino, he's not on this one.
Different kind of project for him.
Okay.
You know, I part of my impetus for getting John DiMartino was not just his style, but he was a Mark Murphy fan.
Right, I see.
So
right. They were related to that particular
I needed,
music.
yeah. This is the.
What is your touring band now? Will that, when you go to do some of these shows, will it be some of those?
John will come with me.
Yeah.
For everything. Carmen Intori will come for some things, and then we'll probably pick up people.
Yeah, along the way.
Yeah.
Are you going to do? I remember seeing you with the great organist up at Fulton.
Joey D.
Joey D. With Carmen. Are you think you'll be bringing it up that area, or the show with this featuring this CD?
We haven't talked about it yet.
Okay, yeah, because they put on an actual jazz. Festival.
Yeah.
So
I usually play that, but we
nice.
haven't discussed that yet.
Right. What else are you doing? Talk about your promotions. You send this to DJs around the country.
All right, so how
do you do that?
We were talking earlier, and when I realized I had a pretty nice project on my hands, and there's a point you realize what you've got when you're working on a record. You just go, this is nice. But I said, no, this is special. I knew it was special, and I decided to go the extra several miles, and I hired a well-known publicist, Scott Thompson. Scott was the publicist for Dizzy's at Lincoln Center for many years.
They promote.
Yeah, well, what they do is they, like when we sent, he had all the lists of all the radio stations and all that stuff, and when we sent it out, when Subcat sent it out for me, we sent it with Scott's return address, so that when people see this package,
right,
because he's so well known, they open it. And
see,
not
right.
only do they open it, they realize that Scott won't.
So you got to pay a few bucks, but it's worth it because people, his credibility is big.
It's big.
Yeah.
It's big.
So have you gotten some feedback yet from DJs or whatever?
Oh my gosh, yes. Something very cool. I always feel like I'm bragging when I like to, you know, I just like to sit
about that earlier. Nobody's going to promote you better than you. You might as well promote yourself.
It's like Gary Walker, who's the program director of WBGO in New York, started playing this record unprovoked.
Right.
No one even called him.
Right.
He just started playing.
Just got,
It should be noted he's never played any of my previous recordings.
Right.
So it gives you an idea of what this. Right. And then I asked him. I wrote him and thanked him because wow, you know, that's the jazz. That's one of the biggest jazz radio stations in the world.
Yeah.
You know, and not only do they're in the New York, New Jersey market, it's streamed live, and people that are into jazz all over the world stream that.
Oh, I see. Okay, so it's not just in the local area.
Yeah.
I see. Yeah.
So yeah, he wrote me back and he said, "Well, thank you for giving me such a hip record to play for my audience."
Wow.
So we use those quotes.
Yeah.
Of course, I asked him first if I could use it, and.
Yeah.
And we're getting, we are getting. I'm overwhelmed with the positive response that I'm getting.
Anyways, is there anything else? I wanted to I thought, you know, it'd be a great idea. I would like to end our show, unless you have some other things to say, with "I Wish You Love," because I was thinking, we go back so many years, and I can still remember us doing that at Charlie's, which a lot of people don't know. The Auburn Theater was actually a little jazz place for a while.
That was my first gig with Peter Mack.
That's right. Yeah. Right where and they're trying to rejuvenate the theater, and I really hope they do. People are mad they're spending a lot of money, but that was one of the first places we played. That was about 80, I think, 79, 80 something. And then of course we played at the Springside Inn, and we went up to Oswego. But I was thinking of this song, and I was also thinking of your father. I had great memories of. He would come to all your gigs, and I could still see him with his pipe and. In the audience, very proudly following you. So unless you have any other things you would like to interject, why don't we go out with "I Wish You Love," which would be kind of a nice thing, something we started with many years ago, and we could end with that. What do you think?
Sure. Goodbye. No use leading with our chins, 'cause this is where the story ends. Never lovers, ever friends. Goodbye. Let our hearts call it a day. But before you walk away, I sincerely wanna say, I wish you bluebirds in the spring. Give your heart a song to sing, then a kiss. I wish you love. In July, a lemonade. Cool my baby in that glade. Wish him health. I wish you love. My breaking heart, and I agree. You and I will never be set you free. I want shelter from my storm of fire.